Hey everybody, today we're going to go over the tracks one more time. The most common thing with a new machine is break-in of everything. So the tracks are going to break in, okay? The tensioner, this is a jam nut for your mechanical tensioner, okay? So all this does is hold your tensioner. Once you loosen this, now your tensioner can come in. And then once it's in, you'll actually set this back down. All right, you want to set that jam nut tight so it holds it in place. Because the only thing that's happening is here's your idler. This is what it looks like outside. So this is your front idler, and this sits inside of your undercarriage. This is the tensioner. So it's pushing this guy out. So as you rotate, it's just simply threading through this and causing spacing here in the undercarriage. So jam nut gets loosened, tensioner, and you want to leave about a ½ inch of deflection up and down. Obviously, we have this one loose. But this track is going to continue to break in for the first 30, 40, 50 hours. Everybody that has a new machine knows that this is probably one of the biggest pain in the butts because you're going to pull a track off if you don't keep this guy tight. Now, you don't want it tight. You want to have some deflection. If you go overly tight, the machine is actually fighting itself to move if you go overly tight. So you want to make sure that it has some give. And when you're rotating, when you guys are turning, you want one track going forward and one track going backwards. Because if you just move all of your adjustment on one side, well, now you've put side pressure on this. And those of you that have ever popped a bike chain off realize that with side pressure and then movement, it knocks that track off. On this one over here, it's the same principle. It's just a grease fitting. So the grease fitting, same deal. There's a shock in there or a rod in there that it tightens this up, pushes the rod out. And if there's grease in it, the grease is pushing this guy tight. Now this one's close, but we're going to put a little bit in to show you guys how they move and so forth. The shop hand here is going to show you guys on the mechanical tensioner right now. So you see how this track is moving and tightening. And he's going to continue to check that until we get nice and snug. And he's just going to keep checking as we move along here. And now he's going to leave some room because you don't want to have it crazy tight. You want to have it that it's about a ½ inch up and down. And then the same over here in the grease. All you're going to do is we're going to take our grease gun, and obviously because we do so much greasing, we're going to use electric. And you see how that idler came out as soon as he started. Now this guy is good. We're right there. See that? About a ½ inch up and about a ½ inch down. We're going to come off of our undercarriage. That way our teeth aren't riding. But the best thing is to just make sure, those of you that are buying a new machine, you want to check this every few hours when you're breaking in this track. When you're breaking in this track, you could throw it, you could throw it at hour 1 if you have not snugged it up. And you could throw it again at hour 1.5, 1 to 2. Hours don't matter when you're breaking in a track because those bars in that track are expanding and breaking in, kind of like anything else that has rubber. It doesn't matter brand or what's not. This guy is going to break in. So you want to continue to check this up until about 20, 30 hours. At that point, from turning and pushing, it's going to get broken. And the second thing here is usage. A track is going to wear down quicker if you're running through muck and mud and garbage. Because as you continue to run garbage through your idler and through your bogies, there is a steel bar in here, all right? That's all that holds these tracks together. That's how they're all built. So every track has a steel bar, and that is held inside the rubber. Once that bar starts to tear through, it'll slip, it'll stretch, it'll start to pop. So tracks, at 200 hours, they could already be worn out if you ran a bunch of stuff through them. The other thing to consider is size. Because it is not a 100 horsepower excavator or 100 horsepower skid loader, obviously there's not as much rubber and there's not as much material. So those of you that have a track skid loader and you get 1,000 hours out of a set of tracks or whatever it may be, you're not going to get as much, especially if you're in the same circumstances on these tracks because there's not as much material to play with. So as you start to pull on those rubbers and you start to pull on the bars, it's going to break in quicker and harder, and it's going to wear quicker and harder. Those of you that are on flat surfaces, easy digging, you're going to see more life out of your track. So that's something else to keep in mind. make sure you're trying to keep as much garbage out of there as possible. You're going to get garbage in your undercarriage. It just is what it is. But also keep in mind, if you're running a bunch of garbage through there, your track will break in and expire faster than those of you that are on a flat surface or just digging, trenching, and so forth. So I just wanted to go over the tracks again. That's probably the biggest call we get is I pop the track. How do I get it on? On your grease undercarriage, you're going to take your grease fitting and stuff off. So you're going to take this off. What's going to happen is that grease is now going to come out of this shock. And once it comes out, you're going to get room. So it's going to go from tighter to nice and loose. That way you can maneuver the track. Usually for these, I'll put this on first, my drive sprocket, and then I'll pull my tension or my loose part up here, and I will take a bar and I'll push it over. That way I can get these teeth on the other side of the idler. And what I do is I will drive it on like a bike chain. Remember how we talked about coming off like a bike chain? It'll go on like a bike chain. You get those grooves in your drive gear, and then from there, you push it over your idler after you already have it loose. And it should only take a few minutes. Now, again, some of these that are bigger, tighter tracks are harder to work with. So if you have a friend, get a hand. But I put them on by myself, but we don't have, we've done it many times. We'll take a pry bar, we'll push over on this, a little bit of pressure, and then we'll walk a track forward. I'm not suggesting anybody operates a machine while they're not on it. However, I'm just telling you how we do it, and it's been very efficient for us. That's just the last thing I wanted to go over for today. We've done a few videos. I don't know how many they're going to get posted. We appreciate everybody's business. We appreciate you guys following us. We'll catch you on the next video. The number is 570-765-9338. We'll catch everybody later. Thank you.